All right. Guys, welcome to Automating Success Show. I'm Joe Langton.
And I'm Julia Langton.
Introduce yourselves to our audience for us.
I'll go first, I guess. I'm Beth Carpenter. I'm a meteorologist and co-owner of Thermodynamic Solutions. You can call us TDS Weather for short because the other is kind of complicated to say. Also a storm chaser, but meteorology is kind of my thing.
Okay.
My name's Joseph Cooper. I go by JT, so you're going to hear them calling me that for short, because that's easier to say than Joseph, I guess. So I'm a meteorologist as well, and I'm a co-owner at Thermodynamic Solutions as well. And so that's kind of what I am, what I do here at the company.
Okay, so I heard two co-owners. So are you guys the only two owners?
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming?
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
So the entire company right now is just us two.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you guys split up your roles then? You know, what's Beth best at and what's JT best at?
We both take on the forecasting and the forensic roles. We kind of split it up by forecast area, and they kind of just fell into place. They weren't like by specialties or anything like that. So I kind of take care of the northern, southern Ohio forecast areas as well as Indiana, and JT takes care of northern, southern Illinois, southern Michigan, and southern Wisconsin. So we kind of group it together that way. Not sure how Michigan kind of got thrown out there by itself for him, but
it's a great league state.
Yeah, so he does really well at that area. So we both do the forecasting. JT does the long range forecasting. I do like the graphics for it and stuff, but he actually is more involved in like the pattern analysis for the long range and pushes that out to clients every week. So I really enjoy the snowfall forecasting. He really, really enjoys the severe weather forecasting.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely more his thing.
Yeah. So Beth, you said you do storm chasing. JT, do you do that also?
Oh yeah. I didn't think to add that.
You know?
Yeah. I've been storm chasing for going on 17 years now.
Yeah,
so
he's been doing it longer.
I'm considered a storm chasing veteran, I guess you will say at this point. But I've been doing that for really about since I got my driver's license, which I'm sure was just to the thrill of my parents. But I've been doing it a while.
See, and I bet he's ready to go out and storm chase now, hearing that. And for me, when you guys said it, or when Beth said it at first, it actually terrified me because that is something I would never be able to do.
So you guys both have to know I'm super excited about this podcast today because, you know, I when I was a kid, I wanted to be a meteorologist. And I kind of have a quick little story how, for me, that's what I wanted to do. My dad loved the weather. My dad wanted to be in meteorology. Unfortunately, his dad died young, and he had to take care of his mom and his sisters. So he wasn't able to fulfill that dream. So as a kid, every time I came home, you got to know this, like when the Weather Channel it was just the weather and not everything else. You know, and it was always playing. And my dad loved Tom Skilling because we're in Chicago, okay, and he's like the idol in the Chicago market.
Yeah.
So anyways, one day I said to my dad, if this is all that's going to be on TV, you've got to start to teach me about it. Because, you know, I'm a kid. I want to watch cartoons and whatever I want to do. So he did. He started to teach me about his passion for the weather. And one day when I was younger, I told my dad, like, I want to be a meteorologist. And he literally picked up the phone, called WGN Studios, called and asked if he could get me a meeting with Tom Skilling. Okay. I mean, wow. It's crazy. Tom Skilling said yes. So my dad takes me, I watch a whole newscast. I just have to share this because I think this is just awesome for you guys.
So a little bit of a funny relation to that. Tom Skilling is called my meteorology grandfather.
Really?
I don't actually know him. I don't know him. It's because the person, so I guess they kind of joke that, like, you know, who you intern under is kind of like your meteorology parent, and then who they interned under is your grandparent, because you learn like the same, you know, methods that they use and stuff. So yeah, I interned at Fox 59 in Indianapolis under Brian Wilkes, and he interned with Tom Skilling because he's from the Chicago area. So anyway, kind of
All right, so
a
listen.
small world
My dad's
relation.
jealous right now.
So listen, I mean, you could probably see I'm beaming right now. There might be a glow coming off of me. If you have to send this to, you said Brian Wilkes?
Yeah, Brian Wilkes.
Okay, you've got to just share this to him. So maybe it makes its way to Tom, because if somehow if I could get Tom Skilling on a podcast and just send it to my dad, it will literally make my dad's life.
He does I think he does speaking engagements and stuff like that. So he might.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
We're both really good friends with Brian Wilkes. I actually met him in high school because that's what I wanted to be in high school, as a meteorologist as well. And he's like, yeah, you should send me weather reports, become a weather watcher. Then when I started storm chasing, I actually would go out in the field and live stream storms for them. And I will tell you, we've had Brian Wilkes speak. Brian Wilkes does an absolutely phenomenal impression of Tom Skilling. He's like, Tom would always say, Brian, that's a 500 millibar vorticity jet. And that's going to come down here and find its own moisture. And so he just does this amazing, amazing impression. Not nearly, I mean, it's way better than what I do of Tom Skilling. It's just, he does the whole like hand gestures and movements and everything. It's just classic. But yeah.
Well, the thing about Tom is, and I will say, like, everybody talks to me about how passionate we are about what we do. And I don't know that I've ever seen a meteorologist as passionate as Tom Skilling when he's on, you know. And
Brian is very close,
is he?
I would say.
Well, I think he's very fortunate that WGN understands that he is like airtime gold, and they give him so much time to talk about the weather. And I know there's been people that have been like, man, just tell me the forecast already. And I'll tell them, you should just turn on like Channel 5 or something then, because people like me appreciate the 10 minutes of weather.
And it's funny you say that, because actually my first year of meteorology school, I went to the College of DuPage up in Glen Elm. And so like my kind of what I love to do, because I lived in South Elgin, was I would like to go along the Fox River and do the Fox River Trail. And, you know, I just love to be in outdoors. And I would I'm a very personable person. So I'd see people and we'd get to talking, and we'd get to talking, of course, natural about the weather. And I'd tell them, you know, I was a meteorology student, et cetera. And they're like, oh, do you know Tom Skilling? And I'm like, no. And we get to talking about that. And they'd be like, you know, I really like his forecast, but, you know, I don't need 10 minutes of weather. But that's just Tom Skilling for you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so you're saying you grew up in South Elgin. I don't know.
Well, I didn't grow up there, but I went to school there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I grew up in Elgin.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Which is, see, this is what's crazy about podcasts, is you go on a podcast and you have no idea what you're going to find out about somebody.
I'm going to ask you, are you a White Cottage pizza fan?
No. So
all right, we're done.
Okay. So so here's the thing. So I don't know how old you are. So, I mean, I graduated high school in 97. And so for me, I'm trying to think. So like they're in South Elgin. Do you remember a place called Calderones and Ali's?
Yeah.
Okay. We were related to them. That's like my mom's side. The Calderones are related to my mom. So, and I'm 50% Italian. My mom's all Italian. So the way the Italians do it is, if you have family someplace, doesn't make a difference if it's great pizza or not, you eat it there. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, okay.
So I kind of lived a sheltered life, I suppose, when it comes to pizza in Elgin. So.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
If that makes you feel any better about things.
Yeah, I'll that's an acceptable answer, I guess.
So then I don't know how old you are, but what school did you go to then?
Well, I went to the College of DuPage for my first year, and then I transferred to Mississippi State.
Oh, so you didn't go to high school. You weren't like in high
school. I did. I'm from Indiana. I just went to COD my first year of college.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, my audience wouldn't really care about us reminiscing about Elgin anyways.
Yeah, I know.
But probably move on. But I thought it was crazy that we experienced time at the same location for a while. So, well, here, I'll finish up my Tom story just in case somehow this makes it to him. So my dad gets me a meeting, and we end up meeting him 4 times through my life, you know, and he would always give me weather maps to bring back for extra credit. So anyways, just an amazing guy. Right. I cannot think of any professional that would just allow people to just come and hang out. And we talked to him like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And anyways, just the most awesome human being and individual I've ever met in my life. So that's it. Okay.
So here, how'd you guys start working together?
Yeah.
Well,
Julia, yes.
Well, we're engaged for one, but
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Congratulations.
Dun, dun,
oh,
dun.
thanks. But I mean, we didn't actually like intend to. We actually didn't even, and it wasn't never a plan to start our own company, actually. Because JT's older than me, and I was still in college. He was working for a different, and I went to Ball State University, which is actually where I'm from in Muncie, Indiana. And I was still in college. He was working for a different weather consulting company. And he needed to get out of that for several reasons and didn't know exactly what, it kind of took the wind out of his sails for meteorology at that point and didn't know exactly what he wanted to move forward with. I still knew I wanted to do meteorology for sure. And, a couple months later, of course, he was like all over the weather maps and everything again. And anyway, our family kind of ended up pushing us and we're like, well, you guys could do your own thing. You don't have to do work for somebody else. You could do your own consulting. So they kind of pushed us to do that. And then one thing led to another. We're like, okay, well, I guess maybe I'll create a website for this. And I guess I'll, look into this or whatever. And a few months later, we started our own company and it's been over 4 years now. So.
Yeah, we kind of went from like thinking, oh, we'll just get our toes wet to like, barely dipping our big toe in the water and then just being like, we're just going to jump in, I guess. So,
Yeah.
Go all in.
That's kind of how we did it. So I think that's,
oh, really?
that's typically how it starts. So, I have to say, like my brother, Beth started to see your guys' stuff in Indiana, like your guys' forecasts online or maybe on LinkedIn, maybe. And
Possibly.
we were using a different service, which is it was basic, just give us alerts. But my brother was like, hey, we have to really start looking into TDS because like they give.
Oh, really?
And, so yeah, what you guys are doing, it's good. It's a different.
That's great.
Great.
I didn't have a LinkedIn and I probably didn't have, I can't remember what year I started it, but at least the first year and a half of our company, I didn't have LinkedIn. And my dad was like, you should get a LinkedIn and just start posting stuff on there. I'm like, but I don't know anybody. And I didn't know what the heck I was doing. So I post things and then comment to myself on there and be like, I hope I did this right. And people don't get mad, because people don't like you posting stuff that should be on Facebook and that kind of thing. So I was like, is weather okay? And anyway, I just started getting a ton of LinkedIn requests, more than I could keep up with. And they ended up, it was a bunch of snow removal guys and they started messaging and, we kind of exploded in the snow sector from there. It was really LinkedIn that did it. And it wasn't me reaching out to people. It was me just posting what I normally do and people being like, wow, that was really helpful. How'd you know that was going to happen? And, stuff like that. I totally can't even remember the initial question because I went down a rabbit trail.
How'd you guys start working together? I think was
you're doing
great.
The rabbit trail was.
I wasn't thrown out.
So right now it is just the two of us still. We've been in talks with a part-time meteorologist because over the past couple of years, things have just exploded for us. We've been growing rapidly and it's been hard to keep up with. So we don't want to spread ourselves too thin. So that's why we're doing that. We don't really have a desire to grow into this big national corporation or anything like that. Mm-hmm. We like being able to have personal conversations with our clients and get to know them and, service them. So we don't have which is probably weird. I guess most people probably want to get just huge. We want to stay semi-small so we can maintain the relationships that we have now and keep doing what we're doing.